Hey guys, it's Adrian. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to bring you the second quarterly challenge for this year. Can you believe the first 3 months of the year is already done? Unbelievable. I got this idea at the end of last year when I pushed myself to read different kinds of books, and I realized that that worked really well. It wouldn't work for a monthly thing, but for a quarterly thing. So that's where I got the idea to do a quarterly challenge. If you're interested in doing these challenges with me, by all means, please join in. So last quarter's challenge I mentioned in that reading goals video, and it was to read number 1, non-fiction books, and number 2, books that were published before the year 2000. And I managed to do both of these. I didn't quite read as many as I hoped, but I got 5 in total done between these two challenges, so I'm pretty happy. Let's start off with the books that I read in the non-fiction category. First up was Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. I mentioned this a couple times already, so I'm not going to talk about it in great detail, but this is written by Jenny, who suffers from several types of mental illness, and she's just hysterical. She talks about it in a funny way. She's got no filter though. There are a lot of swear words in this book, so if you can't handle that kind of thing, I wouldn't recommend reading this. But this book was fantastic. It was absolutely hysterical. I don't think I've ever laughed quite so hard with a book in my entire life. So for my very first memoir kind of book, I am very pleased to say that this was it, because this is so far this year my favorite book. And the second nonfiction book I actually just finished, and that's more of a diet sort of eating lifestyle momish kind of book, and that is Trim Healthy Mama by Serene Allison and Pearl Barrett. This book I ended up giving a 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. I just talked about it in my wrap-up video, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but I like this book especially because it talked a lot about a mom's life, and it made the idea of going on a low sugar, no sugar diet more bearable, because I do need to go on a low sugar, no sugar diet for health reasons. So I did enjoy this book. The next 3 books are books that were written before the year 2000, and the first one that I read was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This one I ended up giving a 4 stars. I'm sure everybody knows the story of Jekyll and Hyde by now. I found it really interesting. It was a switch up from the books that I had been reading, because I had gone from middle grade to this sort of complicated old English. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty good, and I was honestly surprised that I liked it, because I don't generally like dark books, but this one I was quite happy with. Like I said, I gave it a 4 stars. Next up, I read Lies of Silence by Brian Moore. I finished this one last month, and I didn't like this book. This is the only one of the books that I read for this challenge that I didn't like. This one got my very first 1-star rating, and I've talked about that a lot already, but this is a book about a man who was coerced into a IRA bombing and the consequences thereof. And I just didn't like this book because it went in a circle, it had no real plot, it didn't go anywhere, and it had a man who was having an affair, and that was okay, and I don't think that affairs are okay. So this one got a 1 star for me. Didn't like it. Too bad. And lastly is The Handmaid's Tale. I just finished this one today, and I gave it a 4 stars. This was written by Margaret Atwood. This is a dystopian book, and I don't usually read dystopian books, so I got some interesting genres amongst these 2 reading challenges as well. Like I said, it's a dystopian, and it's told from the point of view of a handmaid who is basically a woman who is taken for breeding purposes only, and it's based on twisted biblical scriptures, and I can't really talk about it too much because it will spoil the book, but it was really a really good book. And it's going to be a Hulu original series, I think. But I'm excited to watch it whenever it comes out, because I really did enjoy this book. So that was my check-in for last quarter. Like I said, checking in with these videos will help me be more accountable and make sure that I'm actually doing these challenges that I set out for myself. So let's get on to the challenges that I have for this next quarter. I've got 2 challenges for the month of April, May, and June, and the first one is to read children's classics. I've got an 8-year-old that loves to read, and it's kind of made me a little reminiscent of books that I've previously read as a child. So I'm hoping to get around to a couple, at least 2 or 3 children's classics in the next 3 months. And the second reading challenge that I have is to read some adult fiction. I've been reading a lot of YA fiction lately, and the few adult fiction books that I did read, I've really enjoyed and come to appreciate and realize that it will help me take a step away from YA. And I want to focus predominantly on adult contemporary, because I also don't really read any contemporary books. I feel like spring and summer are the months, for me anyway, that I am more interested in reading those contemporary books. I don't know what it is about spring and summer, but they just feel contemporary to me. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this quarterly reading challenge. If you have any suggestions for me for adult fiction contemporary or children's classics, leave them in the comments below, because I haven't decided which books I'm actually going to read yet. I have a few ideas, but I haven't set my mind up to it yet. That's it for today guys. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.